Bitcoin just has seen a massive crash towards the downside, and this is something we potentially should be worried about. So on today's update video, I will talk about what currently is happening in the bigger things of it all. What is right now happening with the consolidation phase, and more importantly, what is most likely going to be the next move for Bitcoin. I will be discussing it on today's update video. So without any further ado, don't forget to once again slap up that like button back above 800 likes. That will be highly appreciated. And with that being said, let me jump straight away in towards the imminent short term. And yes, once looking at the imminent short term, we can still see that Bitcoin is trading on this very important horizontal level we have been finding support on for over 72 days in a row right now. Because yes, you can see every single time so far, once Bitcoin retested this exact level, we saw a very strong bounce back towards the upside. Only one time we broke below it, and Bitcoin actually crashed all the way down to 56,000 US dollars. But currently, we are still holding up the level, and we can also clearly see that on the top side, we're creating a significant downward sloping trend line. And basically, this is also the trend line we need to be breaking above of, because every single time once we do touch or come close towards this level, we see massive corrections on Bitcoin towards the downside. So I'm going to keep my close attention towards that horizontal support box for Bitcoin and the downward sloping resistance line. But whenever we do break below the horizontal support box, that is the point where I would really start to be worried, because if we once again break below it, I think that actually we could be dumping a little bit lower than this. And yes, if we also dump below this very important Bitcoin support, I am maybe going to be considering to actually exit my trade, which is currently actually still in over $35,000 in profit. So yes, the current price action on Bitcoin is going to be very important to determine what I'm going to be doing next with my big trade on Bitcoin. But of course, if you've been watching the channel, I'm going to keep you guys up to date about that next move on Bitcoin. But currently what we're seeing is that after this big crash towards the downside, we're creating somewhat of a flag pattern here right now on Bitcoin. And yes, a flag pattern is actually quite a bearish pattern that you could be creating after you've seen such a significant dump towards the downside. So what we're creating essentially right now is somewhat of a Bitcoin bear flag pattern. And yes, if we do break above the top side of resistance and we break bullish again, it's actually going to be quite strong for Bitcoin. But if we do break the lower side of support, that is going to be a point where we should definitely be worried. But what I want to be also pointing out, it is currently Saturday, so it is weekend. So we're creating once again another CME futures gap, and currently the CME futures gap is sitting somewhere around 60.6k. So most likely for Bitcoin over the course of the weekend, we're going to be hovering around this price. And if we were to be seeing a significant dump over the course of the weekend, we're most likely going to be pumping on the beginning of next week, and also vice versa if we're going to be pumping over the course of this weekend in the beginning stage of the weekend. So yes, important to be paying attention towards. But currently what I'm paying attention towards is just that Bitcoin is creating a massive consolidation phase. So we're clearly seeing we're creating a downward sloping resistance line from the top side, upward sloping support, and basically the price is getting compressed. And I mean, yes, if we're still looking at that falling wedge pattern, we can still actually see that Bitcoin is finding somewhat of support on this level. But yeah, the falling wedge, it has been breaking out, but so far we've not seen any explosive price action towards the upside. So I would definitely take this with a grain of salt, and I would definitely take this a little bit more slow here. But basically what we're seeing right now is that also on this chart right here, we're seeing clearly this downward sloping resistance line getting created, and potentially right now that higher low where Bitcoin is going to be finding some support on, and then we're going to be approaching this as a bigger symmetrical triangle pattern on Bitcoin. So we can currently see that also on CoinGlass, the funding rates remain to be negative. And yes, I have said this several times before, but if we're really looking at the daily time frame, we can see that in this massive consolidation phase right here, we have seen the funding rates go quite negative and reset itself actually quite significantly. And that basically also means that the market sentiment is shifting and people are a little bit more bearish. And this could also lead towards bigger liquidations, because also if we are still looking at the liquidation heat map, and we've been looking and talking about this for days right now, not for months, but for potentially even longer than a week already, there's just so much liquidity being built up above it that it's just so hard for me to ignore this. But there's going to be more than $3 billion US worth of short Bitcoin liquidations if we're going to be hitting 67,000 US dollars. So once again, so far we've not touched this level, but this is just where the majority of the liquidity is being built up. And if I'm also looking at the liquidation heat map, we can still see that the majority of the liquidations are laying above us, and most likely Bitcoin is indeed going to be creating a squeeze towards the upside as time is going to be continuing. So I am not necessarily worried about what the next move is going to be for Bitcoin. Are we really going to be crashing lower? Because still, if I'm going to be looking at the liquidity, the majority of the liquidity is trading above us, and that is just going to give me a clear opinion and a clear reason to be thinking that Bitcoin is eventually going to be going higher. And if you're zooming out towards this region, all we're seeing right now here is that Bitcoin has just seen a slight little correction in this massive consolidation phase, and in the bigger things of it all, this was not even a correction. This just was a small move down here, to be very honest, if you're looking at the bigger things of it all. But currently, we can clearly still see it doesn't really matter if we were consolidating around this level or whatsoever was be happening, because all we're waiting for right now is Bitcoin to be breaking out of this massive consolidation phase, because all we care right now is the next breakout of this massive consolidation phase right here. So Bitcoin is consolidating, and we're just waiting for the next move to be happening. And yes, I am still going to be in my long position on Bitcoin. If you want to be trading yourself on Bybit, make sure to check out in the link description of today's video where you can currently claim a free $200 trade for, of course, signing up an account using that link below. And if you deposit $100 in your first 7 days by signing up an account using that link below, you will be getting a free $200 trade, which is of course extremely nice to be having. It's literally a free $200 because your $100 you're depositing is completely withdrawable. So make sure to check it out in the link description of today's video if you want to be claiming a free $200 trade on Bybit, and you could be opening up the trade on Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever you prefer, but it's definitely something you should not be fading right now here. So also on the bigger perspective, of course, we're still creating this massive wolf-like pattern, which I think is still looking actually quite strong in my opinion, and of course the breakout target is above $100,000, so it's just a matter of time before we're going to be seeing this breakout. And yes, of course, we're looking here at a 23% correction, and I've said it so many times before, I am not fading 23% corrections anymore, or 20% corrections in this bull market, because it looks to be that the new standard for this bull market is going to be 20 to 23% corrections on Bitcoin. So important to be paying attention towards. Bitcoin just had the halving. Usually straight after the halving, we don't really tend to see, of course, explosive price action, but 10 to 15 weeks out from now on, that is where we're most likely going to get the start of the Bitcoin bull market. So please do not fade Bitcoin right now. This is the worst time to be actually exiting the market, because yes, we're going to come closer and closer towards that next Bitcoin bull market. And basically on the bigger perspective of it all, we're seeing right now that Bitcoin is retesting weekly resistance, potentially right now into support. So this is a thing you should be also paying attention towards. And of course, on the daily time frame, we're seeing that compression. Bitcoin, it is right now sitting at the lower side of the region, but as long as we're holding the green box, I don't believe that there's a big reason to be worrying about this here. And of course, whenever we do break the downward sloping trend line, I think we could be moving up very quickly towards the upside due to the fact that there's so much liquidity laying above us right now here. So a big squeeze could be imminent for Bitcoin. So this was it for me in today's update video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to slap on that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to share this video with your friends if you do think they can learn something from this video as well. So this is it for me in today's update video. See you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.